Hi, everyone. Once again, I thought I was live. Thank you, StreamYard. To encryption, live. Anyway, I have a very special guest coming on the show today. His name, I'm live on his platform. That's why. I hope I'm not live on his platform. Yes, I'll wait for him on this platform. Hold on. Let me exit this platform. I edit this. So, let me tell you a little bit about Andrew Dewar. We may have technical difficulties and everything, but I'm serious now. I'm on this guy's platform. Okay. I'm going to read about him while he come on because I got 5 minutes. Andrew Dewar. He's the co-founder of 5 Year You, is a serial entrepreneur, former professional accountant, and certified advanced ThetaHealer or ThetaHealer. His dedication to financial freedom led to national recognition where he achieved the remarkable feat of paying off his mortgage in just 6 years. Who would love to pay off their mortgage in just 6 years, y'all? I don't even got a mortgage. Please give me a mortgage and I'll pay it off like by the time I'm 73, maybe. I'll extend it. Give me the extension. Give me the extension process. Seriously. So I commend him. Let's everybody close your eyes and congratulate him. All jokes aside, that is serious. That is very wonderful that he did that. Matter of fact, let me reach out to him. I just got through with eating. Sorry. Oh my God, I got so many people. Okay. Who is this? Oh, thank you, Kevin Stone. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to interview you. Oh, that's a chip off my shoulder. I was like, where you at, bro? Where you at? Hypnotize me. I want to be hypnotized. Anyway, let me start looking at my messages and just get to it. I'm going to edit this. I am so sorry I hit that live button. I don't want to mess up his footage. Hello. Are you coming on the broadcast early? Okay. Cool. We're going to wait. I'm just going to sit here like Biden do and look pretty and just smile, live it. Oh, no. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit here and take care of my paperwork. And I'm not going to say nothing because I don't want to mess up his footage. This is going to be productive and used. I'm going to have to, I owe him one for doing this. I've never did this before in my entire career. Get on here and actually get on somebody else's forum because I know which forum is which forum. But, things happen, mistakes happen. So if you're out there watching Mr. Dewar, I apologize. I'm going to fix your footage early. After I fix Kevin Stone's, then I'm going to fix yours early because that was not right. I'm not on anything. I'm just high off of life. I love interviewing people, period. And that's 100. There you go. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You're live right now. I accidentally hit the button. So I I wanted to tell you something. We're going to start from the beginning where I say, welcome to the Kimberly Class Show, so I can edit this again because I want to get it right.
Okay.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very special guest here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate you having me on. My name's Andrew Dewar, and I am from Winnipeg, Canada, which is right in the middle of Canada.
Cool. So you're in Central Canada.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
Just north of North Dakota and Minnesota for anybody that's trying to see it in their head. So, yeah.
Have you traveled to the United States?
Oh, yeah. Monthly.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to Phoenix on Thursday, and I'm working in Atlanta in the first week of April. So yeah, I love traveling. I love the States. It's so much fun.
Well, thank you. And I wanted to talk about your past leading up into your present, what you do. I read a thorough, extensive record of what you do, and then I'm going to ask you questions, highlight the questions that I feel is appropriate. Okay.
Sure, that sounds great.
Go ahead and talk about your past leading up into your present.
So, past, I grew up in Winnipeg, and basically I was a really, really nice kid, and I was raised with an autistic sister. My parents were wonderful. I was my sister's protector until I turned about 12, 13 years old. And then things got, they kind of went sideways on me there. And my sister, for whatever reason, we don't really know, I became the target of her new aggression that she had never exhibited before. And so my sister would try to hurt me at any given point with no cue or anything else. I could just be sitting there reading my book. She could walk into a room, grab the first object she saw, whether that was a book, pair of scissors, whatever, and throw it at me as hard as possible. And that was just kind of my new reality. And then that went on for a year or so, close to 2 years. And it was scary because here's this person who I knew she was different. I loved her, and I couldn't protect her. And now I couldn't really even protect myself in what I would call the normal way. Like normally when somebody comes at you, you want to retaliate. That's just a normal kind of instinct, right? The fight or flight. And I couldn't do that. I wasn't like, I understood enough that it wasn't her, but I also understood that it wasn't fair. So like any good teenager, I repressed it, and I knew it had happened, but I moved on. And my parents, after a year of some pretty dangerous things, ended up having my sister move out. They put her in care homes, and she still comes home every weekend. She's in her 40s now. Her name's Kimberly, but we call her Kim. And that's why, like, it's the first time I think I've ever seen on my calendar that it's like Andrew and Kim meeting. I'm like, I've never had that before. And it gave my heart this weird feeling, because when someone has severe autism and you're growing up with that, it's normal for you and weird for everyone else. So when people would ask me, do you have a sibling? I'd say, oh yeah, I have a sister. Oh, what's she like? Like, well, she has autism. And I usually would kind of just cancel the conversation and move on, because it just wasn't right. I just wasn't ready for it. And so
out of it, how did you get out of it into what you do now?
Well, what happened was I spent 20 years trying to make my life really, really, really safe. And I got a safe job at a safe place, and I followed everybody's rules. I found a wonderful wife who was caring, kind, had 2 beautiful kids. They're teenagers now, and they're still amazing teenagers. We've never had bad stuff. And as I was doing all of this, I was safe, but I wasn't happy, and I was living everybody else's life. So if somebody wasn't happy, I'd go try to walk their path for them. I would try to help people. And as the years went on, I was getting worse and worse indigestion. I was getting worse things happening to me. And then finally, it all kind of culminated. At first, I fell. I actually, like, my knock against the head was really a knock against the head. I fell playing hockey and it gave me a concussion, and I started hearing ringing in my ears. I started all this stuff, like very, very wild things started to happen. But when you get a severe concussion, I couldn't look at screens for months, and it really made me start to question, like, well, if I'm not what I do and I can't help my kids, what is this? What is life? And the indigestion kept getting worse. So I started cutting up my diet. I went to all sorts of things. Thought maybe it was neurological, got CAT scans, found out I had brain damage, though maybe not from the concussion. I just, all these interesting, fun things you get to find out as you go down your path of life. And what happened was I had basically eliminated anything that could have caused distress in my body food wise. And somebody pointed out, it's like, it could be a metaphysical thing. I'm like, well, I don't know what that means. I'm a dude who has literally been packing my emotions really, really nicely, putting them on shelves in the garage over and over and over again for 40 years. And when that came to me, they said, like, so what's going on? And it was at that point that the floodgates open. I just started crying, and I recognized that, uh, I didn't love my wife, even though she was amazing, in a way that I felt was right for our marriage. So I had to kind of figure that out. To me, it was keeping everybody safe, and I had to navigate this new reality. And then I stumbled into energy healing, and there's the stories that go on through all of this stuff are just amazing. And I know you usually have a quick podcast, so I'm really trying to condense it down here to some.
No, I'm with you. Take your time.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, so weird things started to happen, and I went, acupuncture. I was kind of understanding what it was because I had TMJ from the impact on the side of my face. It's gone now. And I realized, like, I was just putting everything to the side. And as my best friend, who had known me before I was born, he know me. He was 6 years old when my mom was pregnant with me, so he's known me literally my whole life and then some. And he said, like, sometimes when this stuff happens, it's like you've been putting your whole life in an emotional garage, and your garage is full. So you have two choices now. You just deal with the pain, you take medications, and you go that route, and you just keep putting band-aids on. It's what most people do. Or you dig in and you start to unpack the boxes. And column A looked a lot better than column B. I'll be honest, but the weirdest thing happened to me then is somebody he knew was kind of getting awoken as a medium. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to go into the metaphysical stuff in a second, but I just want to make sure everybody gets what I'm saying, because if you've never heard this stuff, like I hadn't 3 years ago, it sounds really weird. It's not 3D, it's not solid wood, it's not skin and bones. It's really hard to understand if you've never understood energy stuff. And I was an accountant, so if it couldn't go on a spreadsheet, it just wasn't real to me. Like it's like emotions. No, that's not a thing. I can't quantify that. So here I am getting told, you know, basically by my body, we're doing this. You can come along, or we're gonna hit reset at some point. And I would never talk about anything I was feeling or anything else. And since my childhood, since those moments with my sister, I had really dark thoughts, and I just assumed everybody had them. And it's only when I had the courage to say that I started to realize, like, the way you grew up, the way you lived, it's not necessarily the worst in history, but this is your journey, and you're ignoring it, and you need to own it. And then the weirdest thing happened. My my friend had a friend that he had just met, and he said, whoever you're thinking about right now, I need to talk to them. And so my friend was like, okay, well, I'm not going to give you Andy's phone number because I protect Andy, because I've been doing that literally since the day he was born. And he's down in Atlanta. I'm still up in Winnipeg, and I'm thinking, okay, well, let's just, sure, let's. And so he calls me and he says, how are you? And I'm good. Okay. Um, have you been feeling different lately? And I said, yeah, I have. I've been, feeling pretty terrible. And he said, well, you have an angel next to you right now. You have one of your guides next to you. And I'm like, is it here? And he's like, yeah. And like, in the last 3 weeks, I had been meditating and I started to feel this presence here, almost like a light breeze. So I did what any normal human does. I shut off all the vents, I closed all the curtains, and I kept doing it to test to see if this was really me. So I partially think I'm going crazy at that moment. And kind of, no, I was just scared. I can try to make light of it, but at that moment, I was just scared. And he said, he's like, this person we figured out very quickly was my grandma, who I have a picture of her in my office all the time. She passed away like 10 years ago and was finally able to come through. And um, he said to me through her message to you is, you need to start loving yourself. And that was the moment the garage door burst open and all the boxes fell apart. And I started to cry again. And this is like the second time crying in front of somebody. And this is a stranger. I just met this person. We're on a Zoom call, just chatting. COVID's still kind of ending. And I did not love myself. And the next thing he said was really the thing that kind of set me off. He said, you have had lifetimes like this before, and this is where you get up to. You live for everybody else. You put everybody else's needs in front of yourself. It doesn't mean that you kill yourself in other lifetimes, but it doesn't end well for you. And I'm very type A. I like to get stuff done. And for whatever reason, I was talking about this with him yesterday. That was the thing that kind of clicked with me. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to go through all the stuff that I've gone through again and have to learn all these lessons and stuff. So it really kind of cracked me open spiritually, where I had to go try and find the things that made sense to me, all the while in the back of my head going, am I crazy right now? Because this is not the world I live in. This is not my normal thing. So I did that, went through to one of my friends kept suggesting this one Reiki person. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm keep hearing about it. I'll go. I went to her 45 minutes on the table. She's like, your chakras are all this. I don't know what chakras are at this point. I'm like, oh, it's chalk. Like, like, are you trying to say chalk? Because I really don't know. Like, no, you have chakras. And she explained all that. And she's like, you might feel a little tired after this. Just be easy on yourself. I went home and slept for almost 48 hours straight. It was Saturday at noon, and I woke up Monday morning. And I was something shifted. And that was another kind of come to spirit moment, or come to God, or whatever you want to label it as, where I was like, there is stuff here that I don't understand, and I don't like not understanding things. So I set out to be, okay, I need to look into this. And she said, if you have emotional issues, which she could tell, because she was a partial medium as well. Again, I would not. The fact that I'm here telling this story, even from like a year ago, makes me go. It just always gives me pause, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking about this stuff. But everything has led me to here, which is fantastic. So I went and saw a theta healer in the same office, and just a wonderful person again. And again,
explain to the people what a theta healer is, because I know what Reiki is and the rest of it, but I don't know what a theta healer is.
So theta healing is it's been around forever, but this is kind of the name that it has. So a theta healer is an energy healer. And what we do, long story short, I became a theta healer after doing this, and I work with people now, both online and in person. And what it is you use the power of creator or source, energy, God, spirit, Buddha, Allah, whatever denomination you subscribe to. I like to use universal energy because it's got less baggage around it than all the other things. And so what we do, it's a lot easier for me maybe to explain a session because it's better. You'll typically come in with an issue. Sometimes it's a pain. Sometimes it's just something that's bothering you, and we get to the root of the problem. So you're going to come in and not, if you came in saying like, I have a money problem, I just never seem to be able to hold on to it. Well, then we start kind of going from the leaf on the tree, which is what it is, and we start kind of following down the branch and going, okay, well, why is that? And we dig into your beliefs a bit so we can find that core belief, and then we will test things to see what that root cause is. And then it gets a little wild because with theta I'm in a theta state, brainwave state when we are doing the healing. I am not the one that heals. It's a quantum physics thing where you have to observe, create, or heal the person. So
like an energy transference.
yeah, that's the best way to kind of phrase it. So you and I would sit down together. Once we figure out the root cause, we would test for different things depending on what it is. And this happens with, like sometimes we're born without certain feelings as defined by creation. Meaning like we might tell somebody we love them, but we really don't know what love feels like, much like I didn't know what self-love felt like. And I honestly, once I could feel that for myself, now I can feel it more for everyone. And I say I love everyone. Doesn't mean I don't get upset when somebody cuts me off in traffic or somebody does wrong by one of my children or something like that. I'm still human, but I know now I need to return to love. Anyway, so we would sit down. If we're face to face, we would hold hands. If not, we just visually connect energy like that. I go up to creator. I do a body scan to see if there's anything that's not good. And at that point, we will go through the session and we remove, replace, and release any beliefs that you might have. And that's where things get very interesting because when we do that, we hold beliefs, we hold energy on 4 different levels. Everybody's got their own definition, but this is the one that serves me. We hold things on a core level, which is our mind, which is the experiences we've had in this lifetime. I can't defend myself when I'm attacked was a belief I had because I wasn't able to, and it's like I'm defenseless. Would be a belief that I would have. Then we have the genetic level. Well, that's the stuff that mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and great 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 grandpas hold down. I think we've got like 30,000 ninth generation great grandparents. You kind of go like when you go back, it goes back, right? Yeah. I just saw that this week and that blew my mind. And I'm like, okay. And we use muscle testing to test for beliefs. So most of the time we don't know what we don't know. And the beliefs that we're holding can be in the subconscious. We just have lived with them our whole lives, or we inherited them, and then the third level of beliefs is like history, societal beliefs, things like, you may have picked up along the way, like rich people are, and if you say greedy or bad, you're never going to be rich because why would you want to be something that's negative? So we can help with that as well. But then at the core, we have our soul beliefs, and that's the lessons we're here to learn. It's who it makes up a big part of our journey. And so we muscle test that. We can do that remotely. We can do that in person. The majority of my sessions are online because it's easier to reach more people that way. And and then we release them. We bring in the new downloads. We bring in the new feelings. So we might say, you might have a belief, I'm not worthy of money. And the worthiness issue has nothing to do with money. It has to do with, somebody on this playground at age 4 said, you're money dumb. And then you inherited that, and you've totally forgot it on the one level. But then as we dig, we find it, and it's all very, very quick. And then, then the next couple of weeks, you will some people feel it right away. Often you'll be challenged afterwards with little things, and you can always ask to have lighter challenges, and then you move forward with that.
Do you sorry to cut you off, do you use different frequencies like music, or tones that's not, you can't hear? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I like to go into a theta state. Is just a meditative state, right? It's that kind of it's not like deep sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have theta healing music that I put on whenever I'm in session with someone, and I actually kind of have it on all day, because you can just relaxes your brain. You get better you get more intuition and little nudges and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier to play the game, that the life game with it, I find. And so that kind of brings me to where I am now, is doing theta healing and doing a bit of travel. And whenever I go somewhere, I love to just help people. I am here to serve, and I want my goal now is to help activate 1 million people so that they start living their authentic lives. I feel that we've kind of got away from that with society. We're very stuff focused, and I call that the layers of life. And if you think of it like a target sign, the layer of life is on the outside, and we all think, if I have the right things, then the right people will find me, and then I'll have to get the right job. And we all kind of dance around those like 3 outer circles, but the 2 inner circles, the most important one is the center, which is your soul. And that is where I was empty. I mean, I was doing everything for everybody else. My soul was empty. And once I figured out what I was and started to lean into it, it's not like I didn't go like from left to right. You kind of, I'm accountant. I'm cautious. So, I kind of like just tap my foot on the ice just a little bit to make sure it's okay and move forward. That was a very Canadian reference.
Different sessions. Like, I know you do this therapy work, this theta, but tell me about the sessions you give, each and every session, and how many sessions do you give, and what is the success rate for this healing process?
Sure. Every session is different. So what normally happens, the most people that come to me are willing to change. They're done with all of the 3D, and they kind of are understanding that life is a little more energy based than maybe they've been raised to be aware of. So somebody will come in with an issue, and we'll uncover that. And like I said, with the money thing, we find the leaf and we go to the root. And once we unroot that and replace it with something more positive, and like an affirmative belief of something like, I am good with money, instead of I am unworthy, or I am not worthy of money, then that would basically be a 1 hour session typically. And then what happens after that ranges. I can't even begin to tell you the different things that have happened. Each client kind of reacts differently. Some people have nothing. Other people will go out and start to find things. I know when I first did it, like, I started to just notice synchronicities lining up all the time, and they've only gotten more and more and more, because I kind of you shed these old beliefs, and what your brain has to do is carve out these new neural pathways, because you've been thinking a certain way so long. You're like a fish in water. You don't know the water's there. You're just a fish. You're just swimming around doing all the things. And suddenly you realize that, oh, there's fresh water and salt water. And maybe I'm not a freshwater fish. Maybe I've just been surviving in the fresh water, and now I get to go to the salt water and go from there. So, Don't try doing that with your fish at home. Anybody that's listening, that's not a
Exactly.
good idea. But I think you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, it's a new experience. Life looks differently. My I care deeply about people's results and their success, and I really want them to live a life that they enjoy. So for a lot of people, the changes can be very big. Um, I'm not going to divulge anything that my clients have done, but there have been significant energy changes, both sometimes on a physical level or an emotional level, or both. Some people just understand that this isn't it, and they make those shifts. Other people are like me, where you gradually do it.
Do you have free
Um,
coaching sessions?
I have what I will happily give you a free coaching session if you want one.
Yeah.
Uh, as a nice thank you, that would be an excellent energy exchange for sure. And I've never worked with anybody named Kimberly, so like you just have like this, you just magically inserted the soft spot of my heart because of my sister's name. So I think I told you that at the beginning when I reached out, or you reached out. Um, and usually what I'll do is like do a 15-minute kind of just an introductory call to assess the person, to see what their beliefs are. Do they really want to change, or is this kind of a thing they're trying? And I'll just kind of trust my intuition and creator to kind of lead me in this way, because some people, I think we all want a better life, but a lot of us are very, very stuck and afraid, and that was my case. So, yeah, and it's a balance. It's hard to. I found through theta healing, when I first started the trainings and everything, I was trying to put everything into my boxes, right? This is the procedure of how it works. And the lady who trained me with this, every time I'd ask a question, she just kept saying, like, you're not getting a box for this. And so when I speak with people, it's usually typically the right people find me. So I don't want somebody listening to this thinking, well, that's not me. If you're listening to this and you're like, I think this could help, then that it likely is that it can. So reach out.
Yeah, and if you had to give one piece of advice to the person before we go there, because I just have to continue. You paid
Yeah.
off your house in 6 years.
Yes.
Wow, tell me how you did that.
Wow. Well, that's a ways back. And I wasn't expecting that question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Um, you know what? Okay. So sorry, I can hear my phone ringing in the room, and I don't want it to affect your recording quality. So I'm just going to wait for it to stop. Okay. So what happened? Uh, what ended up happening was we moved into our dream home. My kids were, well, my son wasn't even born yet. My daughter was a couple of years old. And I remember not having a ton of money free for anything else, but we had this dream home and worked a year on it. It literally became like from a sketch on a paper that I drew out to this thing that we had. And I was so proud of it. And then I realized I was digging a hole to plant a tree, and I actually had to dig 30 giant holes one day in the sun. And I thought, I'm going to be doing this on my own for a very long time. It just didn't sit well with me. So I started to think about, well, what happens if I paid off the house? And like every good person, you go and check with all your friends, and nobody gets the idea that you're doing. So I've always kind of been the weird one, and now I just embrace it instead of trying to, conform, because that clearly didn't work. So I can look back at it now and see that it was definitely a form of being safe. But at the time, interest rates were really low, and everybody was telling me it was a terrible financial decision, but it wasn't a financial decision. It was an emotional decision of being safe. So we cut everything out, and it was the perfect time. The kids were young, so they didn't care if we traveled. They didn't know the difference between a pool in the backyard or a pool at a hotel or anything else. They just, at that age, kids are happy. So I really leaned into, being the best father I could be. And we learned how to cook good meals. I had a flip phone until I think year 5 of paying it off, where I finally allowed myself. Do you know what it's like when everybody has an iPhone and you have the flip phone still? Everybody's texting. I remember getting like an iPod Touch, and I could actually text people finally if they were on certain setups, if they had an iPhone, but I could only do that if I was on Wi-Fi somewhere. I was basically living the life of a grade 4 kid. And they probably have cell phones now, and then here we are. There was I have an article of the 28 things that we gave up. Like gave up going to movies, and that was probably the hardest one for me. It's
Could
a
you
lot easier to.
could you send them to
What?
me so I can put it on my LinkedIn page?
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I'll send that to you. I'm gonna make a note because
Have you ever did a time capsule with your children? Like put
No,
goodies in the time capsule and bury it?
no, I never did that.
That would be awesome. Still got time.
Yeah, still got time. I like that. I like that.
So
Um,
continue. I just you're an awesome guest, by the way. Sorry.
oh, thank you. Aw, you're gonna make me literally cry right now. So I'm just pretending to look for something while I recompose myself. And okay, I'm back. Yeah, so we did that. And the funny thing is, when you're digging yourself out of the hole, once you get out of the hole, once you get out of the hole, the hardest thing is to not fall back into all of the stuff that you are used to. And the paying it off was hard, but the year after was harder in this weird way, in the sense that that had been my identity for 6 years. I'm the guy that's going to pay. Like the bank literally knew me because I had to call every 2 weeks and say, I'm putting more down on the mortgage, to the point where the clerks all knew my phone number when I called and just would ask how much and do it. And everything we got went towards paying it off. And then you get out of debt and you're like, okay, I want to celebrate. And I have no money to celebrate. I've been putting all the house. What do I do? And so you wait. And that is 6 years is long in one way, but you get used to it. But 6 months to a year of kind of what am I doing now? And it was good. It was really good for money habits because you cement a lot of things you realize you don't really need. They're all just in your head, and you just shift. So yeah.
One last thing. Have you ever thought about doing coaching videos and get people onto a session where it's 10 of them and you coach them about data before you have them come as your clients? I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to.
No, I have never. I've thought about group coaching, but group introductions would be I'm trying to find the best ways of my time right now, and that's a really, really good one, Kimberly. I love that.
Thank you. And if
Oh, that is so good.
if you needed to give a piece of advice to the person out there that wants to be in your shoes, tell me, what would it be?
Don't be in my shoes.
Okay.
No, I'll give you something a little bit better than that. But if you're out there listening to this, and first of all, thank you. Second of all, I believe that everything that happens to us is for a reason, and it's a matter of if we wake up to that reason or not. So if you've heard something like this before and you're like, yeah, I've heard it, maybe I'll get to it. Don't get hit on the side of the head playing hockey and get a concussion. Just give yourself permission to lean into it. The worst thing that happens is nothing. And the best thing is you might find your authentic self and be able to live from that point. And I will tell you, I've had a lot of good and bad days in my life. One of the best days I had was the first day I was able to work in my friend's clinic down in Atlanta, where I did theta healing all day for the first time, instead of just evening sessions or here and there or whatever. And once that had happened, I felt more fulfilled. And apparently everybody that I had a session with has a story that they never come back to me, but I kind of look at it, if they don't come back to me, that means I've helped them enough. And when something else comes up, they'll come back. But Everybody had a transformative story. So if you're hearing this, it's for a reason. Give yourself permission to lean into it. You are worthy of living an authentic life, in case nobody has ever told you that.
Well said. And how can the people reach you?
They can go to my main website is 5yearu.com. We also have a podcast. There's on there on the menu, you can go to Theta Healing and read a little more about it and book a session with me. Or you can just go to itsandrewdewar.com. That's ITS Andrew DEWAR.com, and that'll take you to the same page right now. So those are the best ways to reach me. Or I'm on TikTok and Instagram and all the other things at 5year U. Yeah,
Are you
I'm no, I don't dance. I have not released that emotion. Whatever block I have on that, I have not got to that one yet. I'm really hoping to, though. Dancing looks like everybody else looks like they have so much fun dancing.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me at 5year U or at It's Andrew Dewar, and it's the same on all the socials and the same.
Okay, I want you to stay on the line so we can talk about something. And y'all take care. Thank y'all for watching me. Thank you, Andrew, for being a part of the Kimberly Cloud family. And y'all take
Thank you
care.
for having me on. Take care, everyone.